In this video, we're going to create an ads manager that's going to manage our advertisements. Let's go ahead and create a new C# script, and let's call this ads manager. Once we've done that, let's then create in our hierarchy a new empty game object to host this on. Go to create and create empty. And let's call it ads manager. Go ahead and drag your ads manager script onto this object. Now this ads manager is going to host the ability for us to show and display an ad as well as award that ad. So let's go ahead here and let's define the functionality. So we have two types of ads that Unity gives us by default. They give us that standard video, which we saw on the dashboard, and then they give us a rewarded video. Those are the two ads we can work with, and you're more than welcome to add more through the dashboard of Unity. So once Visual Studios is opened, we're going to create those methods. So let's create a method that's going to display our Unity or our rewarded ad. So when we call that button in our shop that says click here for 100 Gs, it's going to display an ad. We're going to call a function called show rewarded ad. So public void show rewarded ad. And let's add a debug.log showing rewarded ad. Once we have that, let's hook it up to our button. Let Unity compile, select your shop panel, go within those children elements, and find our Unity ads button. From here, we're going to add an on-click event. Select the plus icon. The object is going to be our ads manager. So our Unity ads manager, right here. The function we're looking for is ads manager, and then the function is called show rewarded video. And that can be found right here, show rewarded ad. Select that, save your scene, and now every time we click that button, it's going to call that function. What we need to do now is actually play the ad. So how do we do that? Well, Unity has an entire documentation on advertisement. So let's go to Google and let's search for advertisement Unity API. That would take us to the scripting API for advertisement. And within here are all the properties and functions that we can do. Now, it's not a lot, but there's a few here that is very important for us. One of them is the isReady method. This method right here returns whether an advertisement is ready to be shown. Placements are configured per game in the Unity Ads admin site, which we saw. We saw that there's a video one and a rewarded video, where you can also set your default placement. Now, isReady is an important check. We want to make sure that we always check if the advertisement is ready before displaying it so that we don't crash the app or anything like that. If we look in this, you can see here that they're checking if advertisement.isReady, it's a method that returns true or false, then they're going to call advertisement.show. So that tells us right now that if the advertisement is ready to be shown, this is what actually shows it. So let's go to that function and check it out. Within this function, you'll see that there's two ways to use this. We have advertisement.show, which just plays the default advertisement, but then there's also a rewarded placement ID, which equals the rewarded video. Check out this string right here. Looks familiar, right? That came from the Unity dashboard. And what they're doing here is they're checking if that string is ready, and if it is, then what they're doing is they're doing an advertisement.show called, they're passing in that string, and then here they have a callback, and they're passing it in as a parameter. And what's going to happen is once that video has finished playing, it's going to then automatically call this handle show result, and it's going to handle the results of that video ad. Did the user finish it? Did they skip it? And did the video fail? If it failed or they skipped, they get nothing. However, if they finished the video ad of rewarded, we're going to give them 100 gems. So let's go ahead and create this step by step. The first thing we need to do is we need to check if our ad is ready. And the ad that we're going to be checking for is the rewarded video. Now again, that rewarded video comes from our services page. So if we look here and go to our dashboard again, you'll see here that if we go to monetization, and inside here you go to platforms, let's select our Google Play Store, you'll see here that we have placement IDs. We have a rewarded video, and then we have a default of video. We're going to check this rewarded video. So copy that text because it needs to be spelled exactly like this. From here, we can open up our ads manager and get started. The first thing that we need to do is add the advertisement namespace. In order to even make use of any of the advertisement features, we need to use the library using unityengine.advertisements. That's going to allow us to check if our advertisement is ready. So first thing first is we need to check if the advertisement is ready, and we're going to be using the rewarded video ID. And if it is, then what do we want to do? We need to call that show method, and we're going to pass in to that show method our rewarded video. So we would say show rewarded video, and it would show the ad. Now, if we want to get information about if they finished that ad, we then need to create a callback, and that's used through adding options as a parameter. So let's look at our advertisement.show method. Inside the advertisement.show method, if we look at our tooltip, we have 4 options. We can just call the show method, which is going to call our default ad, which basically is just a video ad that they can skip after 5 seconds. The second option here is we have show options, and that's just going to play the default and get show options off it. Then we have a placement ID. So if we had multiple types, so we have our regular video and then we have our rewarded video. This is what we're going to be using, the rewarded video. But then what if we want to track results of our rewarded video? We use option 4, where we can get a placement ID, which is our rewarded video, followed by a show options. So show options is then going to be a callback that is going to hold the values of those options. What did we do? Did we wait for the ad to finish so we can get our coins, or did we skip it and close it early? So once we've done that, what is the options that we have to do? How do we get those options? What is a show options? Well, a show options, if we type it out here, it's a class. And basically within that class, it's accepting a callback. It wants a callback to a function. So if we look here inside this show options, let's see if we can check out its constructor. I'm going to select this and hit F12. So it takes us to the show options from Unity. You can see here that it has, inside this class, it has a constructor, which is basically an initialization function for it. And then within that is an action event. And this is a callback system. Now, we haven't really covered action and funcs, but essentially they're basically delegates and events. And what it's doing here is it's saying it's an action event. So what's going to happen is it's going to play the ad, and then it's going to have a result callback, and it's going to automatically call this callback and give you options of what happened. So how do we make use of this? Well, the way we make use of this is we need to assign this results callback to a function. Notice it's a property that says get and set. We can assign the result callback to a function that takes a type show result. So now the way this works is we will then create a method that's going to handle it. So let's go ahead and do this together. We have our check if the advertisement is ready. Let's do that first. It's very simple, a simple if statement, and we're going to do advertisement.isReady. And we're going to check the string for which video type, which is rewarded video. Show rewarded ad or rewarded video. So it's rewarded video. That's the string we're checking for. Now, if it's ready, then what do we want to do? We want to show the advertisement. So we're going to say advertisement.show, and we need to say show rewarded video. Make sure that string is spelled exactly how it is in the website. Rewarded video. And then we're going to add some options. Now, what is this show options? It's a callback. So what we need to do here is we're going to create a variable to store that callback. So the way it's done in the documentation, they use this var keyword. It's a universal data type. A universal data type, it basically uses the compiler to know what you're talking about. So in their example, they have options equals a new show options. Now, for this, that is equivalent to me typing var age equals 5. The compiler knows that because I put a 5 on the right side of the assign operator, that age must be an int. It's the same thing. So for their example here, they're using var options, and we can basically iterate through those options to determine if you finished it, skipped, or failed. Now what we need to do here is we need to say options is going to equal a new show options. We need to create that class. So we're creating an instance of this class. And once we've done that, we then need to use its constructor to assign that result callback that we saw over here. We're going to assign this result callback to our own method. So here we have new show options, and then to access its constructor, we're going to use an open closing bracket because it's like a class. So as you can think of it as like a new show options. And then we're going to define its result callback in here. So result callback is going to equal, it needs a method. So what method do we have that we're going to automatically call? We can create it. We can say here, void handle show result, and let's save this. Let's just call it void handle show result, and we're going to tell the result callback to automatically call this handle show result by assigning it to that event. Now if I save this, and we don't need anything like that, we just have to, you add the semicolon at the end here. So right now it's giving us an error on the show results here. And as well as here, we need to make sure that this is a string. And then with the result callback, it's giving us an error because there's no overload for handle show result matches delegate. It must match the delegate, and the delegate is looking for an action show result. So what we need to do here is we need to say handle show result. It's going to have a show result. And then here we can say result. And that variable result is going to hold whether or not they finished the actual video or they skipped it or whatever they did. Once we have that, we can then come in here and we can say options. So we're passing in that action event. Now, this can be super confusing if you're not familiar with delegates and events, but again, essentially what we're doing here is we're creating an options to track what happened during that video experience. We're creating this object and we're assigning the result callback to our own function so that we can track it. Automatically, when the ad finishes, this result callback is going to call our handle show result function. We can name this whatever we want. It's our method. And the results of that video ad are stored in a method called, or a class called, show result. And we're going to extract that data using this result variable. So once we've done that, we basically show the ad, and then we can come into our class here and we can switch through the result because we want to get information from it. So when we're getting information, we can now create caseworks. So we're going to say case show result, which is the class type. And then basically what we're going to say here is show result dot finished. And if they finish the ad, this case will automatically get called. And you'll see here that we are switching through the result, which is of type show result. So we do case show result dot finished. There's also case show result dot failed and skipped. So let's add both of these. And case show result dot failed. So now what happens if it's the finished result? That means they finished this ad. We're going to award 100 gems to player. And what happens if they skipped? We're going to just do nothing. Skipped ad, right? So let's add a debug.log here. It says, you skipped the ad, no gems for you. And then last but not least, we have our failed. And we'll say debug.log, the video failed. It must not have been ready in most cases. Let's save this. And now what we can do is we can actually test this out. So what should happen here is when we open up our shop, it will call this method here. If advertisement is ready, if it's true, it's going to create an options callback for us to check once the video is done playing. And then here it's going to call advertisements.show, and then it's automatically going to call this options class in the result callback, which will then trigger this code here. And then we can get the results. Let's save our script, head into Unity, and test it out. Go ahead and run your game. And let's go ahead and make our way over to our shop. All right, just gonna run over here real quickly. And then once we get to our shop and it enables, we're going to just select the collect 100 Gs, and it should take up our full screen, and it should say that this Unity ad is working properly. So let's go ahead and click here for 100 Gs. And here you go. This screen would be your ad unit. Everything seems to be working. Close it. And it says showing rewarded ad. And here, Unity ads initialize there, jump, showing rewarded ad. Now our callback system didn't get called. So one of the things that we want to make sure that does happen here is that our options here is indeed getting called, and it should have said skipped. Now there is no skip option actually. So really, I think what it's looking for here is if we finish the ad. So I don't know if there is a finished ad option there. So let's run that again and test it out. So within this, click here. And it's not showing, it is showing the rewarded ad, but it's not giving us a timer. So what I want to do here is let's go ahead and actually build this on our device. So I'm going to stop playing. I'm going to save this. And I'm going to build it on the device and test it out. So let's build settings. We're going to create an APK. And using Dropbox, I'm going to place it on my device. Okay, so on my mobile device, it played a full-length video ad, and it had an 8-second countdown. So I had the option to close the ad, or I could finish watching it and then go back to the game. Now, because you guys can't see this, we want to know that those logs are being called. And we can actually get information from our Android device when testing, which is super important using Android Studio. So in the next video, we're going to set up Android Studio so that we can then play our game and get log outputs from our console. I'll see you guys in the next video.